Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the stock market update video. And this is where we update you guys on QQ, Sp500, as well as the 7 mega cap tech stocks, Tesla, Nvidia, Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and Meta. And we'll be giving you guys support and resistance levels to potentially play off of, as well as what's in the most likely scenario price will be heading into tomorrow. And there's a free Discord link below or in my profile if you guys would like to join. And as well as you guys like to support the channel, feel free to join below, as well as this Patreon link. And all likes and shares are always appreciated. So let's get started. So we're looking at the AI sentiment data, and this week we actually flipped from a little bit more bearish for the last couple of weeks into more bullish this week. And it feels like the market maker are just rugging us on both sides, because you can see while we're being bearish, the market pretty much ripped for 7 days here and one red day, another rip, another 4 days here. This day was just pretty much just Jackson hold, 1 day prior to Jackson hold. So there was a lot of fear going on. So obviously after that event ended on Friday, the fear was alleviated and we had 6 days of green. And now that we're more bullish, and you can see we have been dropping for the last 4 days. So we'll be looking at the chart to see where potentially that, if the bottom may be set or not yet. And you can see on the charts, today is actually quite a mixed day. We had money rotating around, not as much as I would like to see for bull, but as well as you can also see as a bear, you also wouldn't be as, how do you call it, as confident that the market is going to head even lower after a gap down when you see money rotating within different sectors. So there's some sectors still kind of green and some sectors being red. As a bear, you want to see all sectors being red at the same time, heading at the low of this day for potentially a gap down and go lower type of scenario. But if it's already a gap down and you start to see money rotating, then it's not as likely that we're going to head much lower. Obviously, the next day we could head lower, but that particular day might not head lower. And for your ingredient index, this don't help us that much when it's at neutral. Unless it's at extreme greed or extreme fear, then we use it as a sentiment gauge to potentially play the opposite of the sentiment. So if we say extreme greed, we may use it to potentially short the market. Obviously, we need to have good setups. We don't just blindly short the market because we're at extreme greed, vice versa. And for the Fed rate hike tools, we haven't changed much. So after last week's weaker jolts data, we have been, was it 2 weeks ago or last week? But we have been pricing in a rate pause for the rest of the year. We did shift to a rate hike a little bit prior to the jolts data, and now we shifted back as well. So it's still the same. So not much change here. And there's a couple of Feds that's been speaking a couple of data this week, but not as much. And that didn't change any of this, so that didn't really matter. I'll let you guys know if this does end up changing. And if you guys want to click the timestamps below where it jumps to your particular ticker that you guys like to see, I put the timestamps in the comments below. And let's get started. So we're looking at QQQ. So QQQ on the daily time frame, you guys know that on Friday, I said that daily consolidation is on its way, and we don't know the side how much is going to pull back. And so when we got that clue, meaning consolidation just means that the next candle goes below the prior low of the day. So you can see Friday's candle went below Thursday's candle for the first time since this move. So daily consolidation is on its way, and we got to see where we may potentially be the bottom of that consolidation. You can see this is a consolidation as well, and this was the bottom of the consolidation. So that's the pivot being set. So now we have the next move up. The question is, where is this pivot going to be set or not? That's everybody's $1 million question. So we zoom into the time frame and go to the 15 minutes. So we had a gap down, right? And after that gap down, we had a little bit of red right at open, and the bulls pretty much controlled the rest of the day. That's what it looks like from the outside. But when you look at the price action, we're still lower than yesterday's low. And we couldn't get over that 372.74, which is this prior key resistance at Thursday, right before Jackson hold event. So And also this was the pivot that we needed to break to confirm the daily uptrend at the same time, which we did over here, obviously. Now it's acting as resistance. And we are also below the 12 EMA, which is also acting as resistance. So we didn't break any key structurals when we move up during today's trading hour while bulls were in control. So we can't confidently say this is the low of the pivot. And we could say bulls played really good defense, but we need to see some offense going here. So what I want to see is an hourly trend change before I can confidently say that the low of that consolidation is in. So right now we have a straight move up from the lows after that gap down. So on the next pullback, I want to see us make a higher low, meaning the low of the pivot is going to be higher than this low. And I don't want to see us retrace too much. I don't want us to go over 50% of this initial move. And then we bounce from that pivot higher low and then break above today's high. So that high would be at 372.83, which is also that key resistance from the Thursday's high. If we can do that, confirm an hourly uptrend at the same time, break this strong resistance, then the probability of this low as a consolidation low being set is very, very likely. But as of now, bulls need a lot of work because it's be another hourly downtrend pivot, just like right here. See? We can say yesterday as well, this bounce was nice, right? Next thing we know, that's an hourly downtrend following through. Same thing right here. We can say this is a nice bounce, right? If we don't get any trend changes, next thing we know, that's another hourly pivot, lower high being set. Means the high of the pivot is lower than the prior pivot. So the high of this pivot is lower than the prior of this pivot. So next thing we know, we can still keep going, right? So that's what I want to see as a bull if the hourly trend change and breaking this key resistance. As a bear, we want to see us keep continuing to make lower highs each time. This kind of pivots, lower highs every time it goes lower. It doesn't bounce above the prior pivot. It just goes lower after the bounce. All right. That sounds a bit confusing, but that's what we do. And multiple time frame analysis because we have to look at different time frames for different scenarios to see what's the most likely scenario. For example, if we zoom out to the month to the weekly, right? This may just be tightening equilibrium, tightening up into end of the year, and eventually break out of it later in the year. So see, it does start to shape out a little bit like we're pretty close to the bottom of this range. You see the maroon looking line? That's the tightening range. Big move down, big move up. Now we have it starting to have a big move down, but we'll see if it'll end up actually tightening up or not. All right, take a look at SPY. SPY here. Similar to QQQ, you can see we pretty much close right below Thursday's high as well. And so you zoom into the hourly and take a look and see what it is. Pretty much a cluster of resistance right there that we didn't get over. Very, very key resistance. Very clear as well. So we just need to get over this level tomorrow and form the hourly uptrend. So SPY's pivot is actually already set. So you can see we bounced. And this candle went below the prior candle. So that pivot is being set. So I want to see that level hold. And tomorrow I want to see it breaks today's high for the hourly uptrend to confirm. And also breaking that Thursday's prior to Jackson Hole's high as well at the same time. Let's see here. So hourly EMA 12 is acting as resistance, but very clustered here. That I don't want to say that's a clear break. We're slightly above it, but it's not a clear break for me. And but I do like to see this pivot. We actually retested, bounced we still need to bounce above today's high. Otherwise, this could just be same thing with QQ, an hourly downtrend following through. Very key for me on the hourly trend change back to bull's favor, especially over this key resistance here as well. Not way more downside, and so we'll see about that. The thing I like is that today there was still tech stocks that were outperforming, like Amazon. So it wasn't like a complete absolute fear day where money was just all leaving the market. So yeah, we'll see tomorrow if who's gonna join who. So now let's take a look. So like just like Tesla, right? Tesla ended flat today, while QQQ was down 0.8, 0.7. So that's very notable. That's a good sign that some tech stocks are still outperforming QQQ to hold QQQ up. Well, if you tell me Apple is going to be down 3% today and QQQ is only going to be down 0.7, I would have been like, probably not. You know, I wouldn't bet my house on it. And we ended up getting that because Amazon, Tesla, and some other mega cap were actually holding the market up while Apple was dragging the market down for the last 2 days, actually. Yeah, it had more China news on phones, and so we'll see the Apple chart in a second. So this pretty much is going sideways in a sandwich. So until it resolves itself, its range, we have clear support and resistance levels to play off of. Here, that'll be 244 for support, and resistance would be 258 level for Tesla bulls to get over. And if the daily uptrend still intact, you can see right here, right when we broke this level right there, daily uptrend confirmed. And now it's just chopping around, and we'll see. Once we break this high, it's just a daily uptrend continuing. That's all. So right now we'll see Tesla bulls end up showing up when QQQ and stops bleeding, because if QQQ keeps on going down, it's hard for Tesla to, break resistance. It's holding really well. See how it's just going sideways while QQQ is being completely going down. So once QQQ, let's just say we have a slight bounce tomorrow to 375, and Tesla, with its relative strength, will likely try to retest its high here. Obviously, that can shift right away in a day, but today is still relative strength. Last couple of days, so we'll say it's probably going to have relative strength again tomorrow, unless it comes out with some news and it shifts that correlation. All right, Nvidia. Nvidia, where I talked about that the chart of the structure of the chart is still intact in its trend. It's about to break because of this pivot. We were so close, but we didn't. So the bears took it down below this pivot right there, that 448 low. Then we would have turned into a neutral trend, from an uptrend, from a daily uptrend into a neutral, as well as forming a daily downtrend, because see this high? This is the bounce. It made a lower high, meaning this high is lower than prior high. So if we do break the prior pivots like that, that's a daily downtrend confirm. So it's good to see the bulls playing defense today here. When we zoom in, it's a complete sideways in the morning, absolutely tightening range in equilibrium. This is pretty much a textbook equilibrium. Big move up, next move is within the next move, next move is within the next move, next move within the next move. This end of the pattern is right here. See right there, that candle, and then this broke bull out of that equilibrium. You can see volume coming in. Right? So that's how equilibrium works. You guys know how I always draw those equilibriums and potentially shape up. It's because on a daily time frame, when it has a big move up and then big move down like that, we can start to predict that potentially it's going to just tighten up like that. So I draw those equilibriums. And obviously, it doesn't always play out. It could just go like this and then go like that, right? But one is textbook, perfect. Here, same thing with this breakout. Breakout of that equilibrium is also very textbook perfect. Right when it broke out of that tightening range at the end of the pattern, and it just broke out. Always, yeah. So now let's take a look at the hourly trend. So same thing. Even though we did get a bull break out of that equilibrium, doesn't mean we're out of the woods yet, because take a look. We have been dropping from here on the hourly downtrend and still intact. So, and we have a big enough bounce. Let's see if Nvidia bulls can confirm an hourly uptrend. All right, if not, then this bounce could just be this bounce. Could have just been this bounce. Right. Next thing you know, hourly uptrend continues, downtrend continues. Right. So as long as we don't change the structure of the charts back to an hourly uptrend, we don't have that much confidence to say this is the bottom for Nvidia on this consolidation at this moment. It's a good job on bulls for playing defense here, holding above this prior pivot and a decent bounce here, but that's all we can say for now. So let's see if bulls will be serious on offense and give us that trend change back tomorrow. Then that would look good, because last thing we want is a daily downtrend confirming over here. If it does, then we're likely tightening up as well into equilibrium. But as of now, see if bulls can show up tomorrow. All right, Apple. So Apple has been the person that's been dragging down the market for the last 2 days, 8% drop in 2 days. So it had news yesterday and it had more news today, both negative about China and the phones and all that kind of stuff. So now we broke the pivots already right here of this daily uptrend. So now Apple is in a neutral trend. On this next bounce, Apple may shape up a daily downtrend due to the size of this move, or potentially an equilibrium tightening range into the end of the year. As well, I can see there's a bigger equilibrium here as well. So you can see that's how it works. That's why when we have big moves down and big moves up, we try to predict that there's potentially going to be equilibrium. And now we have the third move down, then it increases the probability of that being in equilibrium going further now. So we will see if it ends up holding this pivot, bounces, and that tightening range or not. Now, still in a bear flag territory. If we fill this gap, we're close to the 50%, then bulls may potentially change the trend back to their favor like that, back to the uptrend. But as of now, we haven't even negated the bear flag yesterday. And you guys remember when I zoomed into the hourly yesterday, I said Apple had the weakest bounce. It'd be very likely to be more downside, while Amazon could be popping, and essentially what we got, because it was a very clear for our bear flag here on Apple, even though we bounced at the end of the day, and this bounce right here is way better than this bounce that we had, and it could potentially give us that trend change, hourly trend change back to bull's favor. If that happens, then I zoom out to the daily and potentially look for this 180 level, right, to retest that level for me. And then we'll see if the bulls can actually fill the gap or not after, if it does break out of this hourly trend change level and this 180 zone. It does look like it's tightening up potentially into the end of the year. So all-time high range. So we'll see about that. Although it's news related, so we'll see once it resolves its news, see how the price action goes. All right, Amazon. So yesterday I was talking about where Amazon is the last of the mega cap tech to join its daily uptrend. So everybody had a daily uptrend already, and while Apple already had its daily uptrend, now it's on a daily neutral trend. Amazon still hasn't confirmed its very first daily uptrend yet, so it needs a lot of catch up to do. As you can see, this is the one initial move from A to B, and this is the pivot being set right here now. And nobody would have guessed that we would just be in a bullish engulfing candle today, 1.84%, while QQQ was down 0.7%, right? But I remember saying that if market continues to rotate around money, rotate around intra-sector as well as different sectors, then it may be Amazon's turn. So essentially, there's probably money flowing from out of Apple into Amazon today, and we're looking. Amazon bulls are looking for that 140 because they're actually pretty happy today. I would have been happy if I saw QQQ down 7.7 and Amazon was ripping 1.48%, 84%. So now we're looking at this 140 zone, and if Amazon can break that, daily uptrend confirmed for the very first time in a while. Last time it confirmed a daily uptrend was over here on its earnings gap. That was not a lot of support along the way. So that's how it fades all back. So now this structure is a lot more stronger. So if it does come from here, then we're likely come back to test this all-time highs. Sorry, 52-week high. So that 140 is super key for me. That will confirm the daily uptrend. And hourly charts, no signs of red flag yet. You can see how strong it is. Where all the other mega cap techs were trending down on their hourly downtrend, and then their bounce was only like that, meaning the bounce is still below the prior pivot of the hourly downtrend. And you can see Amazon's bounce is already above the prior pivot. So this is an hourly downtrend now into a hourly neutral trend because we bounce above the pivot. Now this bounce is big enough where the next pullback, we're very likely will get a hourly uptrend. If every mega cap chart on the hourly looks like this, I would say tomorrow we're probably going to go green, but only Amazon's look like this. So have to be a little bit more cautious and see if the rest of them ends up shaping up that hourly uptrend. Yep, solid 3.8, 3.5% bounce from the low of today. Wow. Impressive for Amazon bulls. Definitely money rotating from other mega cap techs to Amazon today for sure. So yeah, even if we drop another 1% tomorrow, a lot of room to form that pivot with hourly uptrend to confirm. All right. Yeah, 15 minutes looks good. All right, let's take a look at Google. So Google, not too bad actually either. Forming its support right where it should be. Bouncing off exactly this spot. This Thursday's, Thursday's high as resistance will not act as support. So you can see QQQ already broke below this level and it's trading down here, right? While Google bounced off of it as support and now it's trading up here. So if I was a bear and I'm looking at the market and seeing some of these guys still holding their structures pretty darn well, Amazon and Google, for example, I'll be a little bit cautious. But then I look at Apple and Microsoft, and I'm like, okay, maybe got a little bit more downside. So we're pretty in between at this moment. But so let's take a look at the hourly chart to see if there's more clues on if Google will bounce more or not tomorrow. So perfect level, exactly where it should have bounced on support. And same thing, now big enough bounce. I want to see an hourly trend change back to Google's favor. Here, Google testing is top of the support zone is 2%. So Google is about 2% away from its strong resistance zone here. And if we do break that, we'll likely form a new chop zone above on this all-time high structure. And we'll see if we can do that tomorrow. Still 2% away, so we'll need a pretty green day for that to happen. But it's looking good. Daily uptrend still intact. Pivot being set here, daily uptrend confirm. Now this is just another consolidation, bounce off of its key support. And let's see how this bounce goes. If it's a very shallow one, then bears will have a chance to take it down. But as of now, is a good bounce. And chart is much better than the other mega cap techs for sure. All right, take a look at Microsoft. I guess I'm honestly pretty weak today. It had a decent open, and then after that, just straight weakness. But chart is still intact because it was the second last to join daily uptrend over here. It like finally joined like on Tuesday over here. So now a slight pullback for a couple of days. I would say it's okay. Chart. So the structure of the chart is still intact. So no red flags at this moment. Um, it was definitely weaker today for sure. You can see right in the morning we were strong. Amazon bulls are happy. Sorry, Microsoft bulls are happy, and for the rest of the day, it just dragged down the whole market. QQ, and while QQ was trying to bounce the entire day, like slow grind up, Microsoft was just a slow grind down. So felt it weaker today, but it did hold a double bottom. You see right here, pre-market support, exactly bounce off here as well. But even though we bounced, there was zero offense playing here, so I wouldn't give bulls any gold stars or anything. Just a double bottom bond bounce with no offense going. Structure of the chart is still not changed. You can see we still close below the EMA 12 on 15 minutes. And we're still below the prior pivots. No signs of any trend changes yet. What I want to see is if Microsoft can even give us a 15-minute trend change. And if it does that, then we can maybe say that we might get a bounce because we don't even have enough bounce room for an hourly trend change. You guys know where Amazon has a big enough bounce now that it has a chance to change the trend. Microsoft doesn't even have a bounce, so you can see just this candle right here, right? So it doesn't even have a chance to change the trend at all. But what we can say is that it didn't drop that much compared to the other guys, right? It's a 1.5% drop from the top to the bottom. So essentially, it's just holding itself in the level. So there's no red flags yet, right? So yeah, it's just holding itself in its zone. And daily uptrend still intact. Now we just have another daily consolidation happening. I mean, today's candle is lower than yesterday's, and we'll see if pick up some slack tomorrow or not. Wise, no red flags, but you need to hold these levels. Because this level right there, this 330, was the prior strong resistance that we finally got over on Tuesday. And you can see it bounces off here, bounces off here, bounces off here, all this time. So it's a good sign that we close above it, but it just bulls playing defense. I want to see some offense going here. All right, let's take a look at Meta. Meta was very weird in the morning with this drop. We zoom into the 15 minutes, and it was a straight waterfall. And I couldn't find any news, so it must have been someone that might have some inside news, or something happened with someone with a big sell order here. And that was it. After that order was done, then just slow grind up. There's just that person was done selling probably. This is like a megaphone. Yeah, we don't have the bottom megaphone. So, but that resistance line. Let's take a look here. Let's zoom into the hourly. Clear here. Yeah, I mean it's uptrending resistance line. Wouldn't call it a megaphone because it doesn't have the bottom part, but I think we were looking at this megaphone yesterday, right here. Yeah, like that. Broke above, came below. Then we broke this support zone right here as well, but then we bounced off of it. So still anybody's game. Pretty much did exactly. It's probably the algos. Resistance, 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 resistance. Sold right through this 294 support. You can see the amount of times we bounced off of this support in the last 4 days. Pretty much every single time. Right? We did shots below it here. Got above it here. Came straight back. And same thing, came straight back right away. I was looking at the 5-minute charts. It bounced pretty much right away. Not like instantly, but like pretty quick. And now we're back in this range. So this pretty much back in this zone again. The news is that we closed. At least we didn't close down here. So it's good that we closed closer to 300 resistance. So pretty much this 300, 301, even though we got it over a couple of times, still in that choppy zone. And I want to see a clear break on one side of it very soon. Yeah, it's like a complete indecision, weird looking candle. And that we end up closing in the middle of the candle. So that's what indecision looks like. This is as indecision of a candle you can get. Yeah, you rarely see something like this in just the middle of the chart. And then it's like that big, just out of nowhere. Yeah, you see, you guys, not a single candle looking like that. Yeah, that was very interesting price action. You rarely get something like that. Back down, back up, back up, back down, right in the middle again. We pretty much close in those levels as well here. Yeah, so Meta needs to really decide where it wants to go. It's been in this 300 zone the last 8 trading days. So let's see if it can resolve itself tomorrow or not. If not, I guess we'll have to wait till Monday. And we'll see about that. Hourly chart though, because of this drop, it does favor the bears to take it lower, the size of the drop. But now the size of the bounce is also really big, so now it's favoring the bulls. Let's show you the size of them. Let's see, it's definitely over 50%. Yeah, so because it's over 50% from the top of the move to the bottom, this bounce is already over 50%. It's going to favor the bulls more on the next dip that it may form an hourly uptrend. So if that happens, and then we potentially break above here, let's see, we come back hourly uptrend confirming, retest here. Let's see if we can break it above. With $7 away, so I'm not hoping that, putting my fingers crossed, that's going to break tomorrow. But at least let's form an hourly uptrend here first. Close somewhere above 300, 301 zone for the bulls to be more confident to test this uptrending resistance maybe on Monday or Tuesday. Best case scenario for you guys. All right, that's all I got for you guys on the stock market. If you guys are looking for commodities videos, I already uploaded that one previously, just about 30 minutes ago. And if you guys like to support the channel, feel free to support below. And I will see you guys tomorrow for another update. Have a great rest of you guys this week. And see you soon.